Day ahead of the party's January 8th statement on Saturday. The meeting in East London follows a series of public events by the party's top 6 leaders, as we've just seen, which has seen them crisscross the country to honour former leaders like Oliver Tambo, Chief Albert Luthuli, and also John Dube, as well as Josiah Gumede, amongst others. Now, to discuss this and other issues of the ANC, we're now joined in the studio by leadership expert and organisational strategist, Dr Mazwe Majola. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
You know, I'm loath to say this, but these kinds of narratives come up all the time. Is this the most important NEC meeting for the ANC in a long, long time?
It appears to. It appears to be a very important meeting. It's a maiden meeting. It's a very new, or rather first meeting after the elections, and people are very anxious internally and externally as to what is going to be happening there, especially in terms of discussions, deliberations and the outcomes. But it is important, yeah.
All right, so we'll talk about the elephant in the room, which obviously is, does the president stay or does he go? But they have so many other important issues to deal with. Let's go through those first.
The most important one is that during this NEC is when they will be dividing among themselves in terms of their different subcommittees. And that's a very important one. And people really, they're not even talking about that. They are so focused on Jacob Zuma's removal. But this NEC is the one that will be electing the subcommittees of the ANC.
The structure of it has stayed the same, and kind of how it's constituted. But, you know, if you are taking over an organization, you would want to stamp your authority and find a new way to run things. Is this something that Cyril Ramaphosa needs to be considering, given his extensive experience in business? Can he bring those principles into a political organization?
That's the most important thing that he must do. You know, it is his first meeting. Of course, as he won't be sharing the meeting because there is a chairperson, but as a president, he will be there. And he needs to entrench himself. He needs to take charge. He needs to inspire confidence. You know, people must see now that we've got a new leader. You know, and he must take people into his confidence. So it's very important that he must not be timid. He must not be intimidated, but he must take charge. And everyone in that meeting must realize and know that we've got a new leader within the ANC.
So much like a new CEO arrives at a new company, and that first board meeting or first management meeting almost sets the tone for what happens for the rest of your tenure.
That's right. Yeah. It's a very important one, because this is the one which says, respect me, take me seriously. All of you who were against me or trying to win those people over. So it's a very important meeting for him to entrench himself, to inspire confidence, and to build trust, because trust is a foundation of leadership. You know, you remember that those people that are converging there tomorrow are people who are coming from different camps. Now he must try to say that building relationship and then build trust. All of you come under me. And even those people who are doubting him, they must now know that we've got a leader. And they must begin to say, we doubted this guy, but now we can see that he's got all the capabilities and capacity to lead us.
All right, here's some news that's going to surprise you and a lot of people at home. We're just getting breaking news that the president has finally appointed a commission of inquiry. And I just wonder, the timing, what does it say?
The timing it's saying, I know the context, I know the dynamics, therefore I know that you guys you might be discussing about me tomorrow, and even those people who will be mooting for his removal. One of the most important things, there will be the reference, it will be that commission. So that is why you can see him now that he's trying to move with speed. that those things that have been appeared to be slow from his side, that at least they can say that, but he's already done them.
So is this a preemptive strike to say that one of the reasons or discussion points is that I haven't appointed this thing, even though the courts have told me to?
Yes.
And by doing so, are you trying to suggest that he wants to stay in power?
One of the things I've been telling people is that, you know, one of the major challenges Cyril Ramaphosa is going to face is to manage the energy of JZ. You know, mostly people you take over from, they give space, you know. And we could see from previous speeches that JZ, he says, I'm here, I'm still going to be an active member, use me, you know. So whether they remove him or not, but Cyril as the new ANC president is got to be able to manage the president of the country, who is a deployee of the ANC.
All right, so I'm going to keep making these sort of comparisons with organizations. So the NEC is the executive of this organization,
right.
And it has some very important decisions to make about the worth of the organization and how people perceive it. And they've only got a year and a half, a year and a bit to fix those perceptions.
Yes.
One of their first decisions, important decisions they have to make, is around the president of the country.
Yes.
What would you advise an organization? Because they might be fighting amongst themselves, but really it's not about them. It's about the 51 million voters, not even the 1 million that were at Nazareth. The 51 million voters. How do they balance these internal issues, but also recognize that actually it's beyond this?
So the problem, or rather the challenge with the ANC and with the new coming NEC now is the internal pressures within the party, or you call them the endogenous factors that are inside the party, that they must deal with. But while they are dealing with that, there are external pressures, the exogenous factors of the country. So now they must move with speed, whatever they're doing. Cyril has been preaching, which is good, has been preaching this unity ticket. We must build unity, and that's the most important thing. But unity must not be translated to conformity, and unity must not be translated to uniformity. Unity must not be translated to unitarianism, you know. Unity, it's important to be there, but at the same time, there are these pressures and there are these immediate things that must be sorted out.
So the ANC has always prided itself in this thing, collective leadership. We take collective responsibility. In a company, if an organization loses its share value, the CEO resigns. Not the HR director, not the marketing team, it's the CEO. Can the president look at this and say, you know, I may not have done anything wrong, I may feel that I've done nothing wrong, but for the good of the party, I'm the top guy, I've got to fall on my sword?
Ideally, good leader and a great leader is someone who look at himself and the situation, someone who's able to read the conditions and situations and say, I think maybe it's time now to leave. But realistically, knowing our president with his resiliency, it's unlikely that he's someone who, we don't know. I mean, obviously in politics anything can happen tomorrow. But ideally, it's someone who would step down gracefully, peacefully, and say, I tried my best, but let me give someone else.
So what happens between now and the elections should the president remain the president of the country? And you've got this debate which is sort of floating now about two centers of power. What are the consequences for the ANC as an organization if these two centers of power are allowed to carry on?
It depends how they manage those two centers of power. It's not ideal. It would be very good and best if one leader leads. You know, this is a debate that has, taking place in ANC for many times. Ideally, if it's a one leader, it's good for ANC, it's good for the country. But it depends if the president wants to step down, it depends if they want to push him over. Probably they wouldn't like to really push him because they want to forge this unity, you know, because it still has a very good support, you know, from his side. But the consequences will be very dear for ANC in 2019.
All right, let's talk about the NEC members themselves that are going to be making these decisions and putting forward arguments. And some people would say, listen, you know, this guy's got a year to go. Yes. So why would you throw your lot with someone that's some people already suggesting is yesterday's man?
Yes.
He's done 8 years, he's had a good innings. Would you fight for him as vigorously as you might have before the National Elective Conference, even though it wasn't for him, but his faction?
Politics is about personal interest. There are people who are there who know what is in for them. They know when Zuma leaves, what will be the consequences for them. Within the ANC, the meeting tomorrow, you will be different characters and personalities and temperaments will emerge. You'll get what we'll call aggressors who will come pushing, mooting this, this motion of him. There will be what we'll call the negators, those who want to shoot down other people's ideas. You will find the dominators, those who want to dominate the discussions and the deliberations, who want to show off, who want to show people that we've been there longer than you. We know that. You will find the withdrawers, those who will say, okay, I'll be there, but I just want to wait and hear and observe what our people are saying. You'll find different characters there tomorrow. There'll be compromisers who'll be saying that, okay, whatever we come up with, but please let's not hurt the organization. You know, so tomorrow really, you know. Probably for the chairperson it will be more interesting for him because he's the one who will be managing all those dynamics.
So there's been a lot of movement with the rand, markets getting excited every time anything sort of points towards Cyril Ramaphosa taking charge, taking control. Is this something that the NEC would be cognizant of, or is it they just say, no, we will not be dictated to by white monopoly capital and ignore these sounds and these noises? Or do they go in there saying, we have to draw a line in the sand and we have to make a decision because people outside are watching us now?
That's when those characters that will manifest themselves. Because now there will be those debates. There are those who will say, let us look at the bigger picture. There will be those who say, but it's not only about Zuma, it's on the organization, you know. So let's look at what the organization has been taking place. So politics, unfortunately, is people who may think the logic of politics is not like the logics of business people, you know, because as I'm saying that the others will say that we don't even care about the rand.
So, you know, the KB Mapatso of the MKVets was talking about we've learned a lesson from Polokwane. We've learned from Polokwane that we can't get rid of President Zuma because we'll see a split in the party. Yes. Is that comparison fair in your view?
You see, that has been the major challenge and debate from the ANC, even from Gwede Mantashe when we were still the Secretary General, that we don't want to repeat what happened to Polokwane. Of course, the Polokwane aftermath was very, very bad, the splits and other things. So they're trying to be very careful and cautious as they are dealing with the Zuma. The problem with the Zuma is that he still commands very huge support within the party. You know, it's unlike with Mbeki. Mbeki, really, the majority of the ANC was just saying out the Zuma one. You can even see during the campaigning and in the election that took place in December.
All right. So All right, we're going to have to leave it there for the time being, but thank you very, very much indeed for your insights. Yes. And the next couple of days, very interesting developments that will take place. Yeah. But in the meantime, that was Dr. Mazwe Majola speaking to us about the NEC meeting that's going to be taking place. But Francis, breaking news is what's